And I am sorry. Solar does not play for SSLT. I messed that one on up. What a bad caster am I. It's okay, though. We got it fixed for game 2. But here's my question. Much has been made, certainly on Data C, of the Turtle Terran idea. This concept that Terrans have started to realize that it's not easy to break Zergs, not high-level Zergs, as they've realized, I'm just going to build 10 queens, right? You don't break them. So Maru was the player that started doing this really about a year ago, but it's caught on more and more. In fact, GUMIHO played an excellent game against Cyril in Home Story Cup where he was doing the same thing, where Terrans have started to realize that it's not worth playing the mid game against Zerg for the most part, not on maps that you can turtle it out. And that does mean that we've seen these Terran players, they go to 4 bases really quickly, they don't do all that much, maybe some drops here or there, and they get themselves into ghosts and tanks as quick as possible. And liberators, and eventually you get 3-3 bio and you get 3-3 mech. You have this Ghost Thor Hellbat composition that is incredible. I'm not going to say nigh impossible, because actually on Data C, and we'll talk about that if we get there, it actually seems fairly decent for the Zerg. It feels pretty decent for the Zerg super late. Now, there are other ways to beat the late game Terran. Again, I don't even know that GUMIHO strikes me as a more aggressive fellow, so I don't even know if we're going to get there. Although, again, he did play that fantastic game. It was on Stargazer, which is much more of a Terran map, in Home Story Cup, where in the early, or I should say that here's my train of thought. There's another way to beat this as well. We saw Sue actually take down Byun playing on this map in the Theater of Dreams, in Gladiators Cup. There we go. There were 2 big tournaments this last weekend, or $5,000 cups this last weekend, where he just said, yeah, I'm gonna flood Lingbane Hydra into you at 3-3, and I'm not gonna go super every tech. Not gonna do that, but I'm gonna trade 30,000 plus resources worse than you will. But because I just have the economy and I can hold you back and I can grow and grow and grow as you turtle, I'm going to make it work even as I lose effectively over a base's worth of resources more than you do. So again, does GUMIHO go for that? Are we going to see, well, certainly it's a 3CC play coming out of the Tal Terran, so that gives us that idea maybe. What's coming out of the, so it's going to be a Viking opening coming from GUMIHO. Hellbats, or Hellions, excuse me, as well. Probably not Hellbats, not with a 3CC type of play. So we talk about, okay, where you're going to go. Certainly opening 3CC does give us the idea, or it does give us the option that GUMIHO just wants to get in the late game quick as you please. Hellions dive in. 1 drone will fall, but not all that much. So the second question is where does Solar go? Because Solar's late game is fantastic. In general, Solar's ZVT is really, really good. I don't know if you all saw Solar versus Maru from TSL, but in that game, or that series, there was a series that Solar did lose. But in that series, he played, I think there was a 2-0 actually, but it was one of the hardest fought 2-0s I've seen in a while. And he made Maru sweat, he made Maru bleed. It was razor's edge in both games. So if you can do that to Maru, who I think, inarguably at this point in StarCraft history, has the best TVZ in the world, well, it's pretty good. So Ling's going to find somebody in the main base. We'll scout that, yes, there is a 3rd command center. That's really good news. Solar now knows exactly how greedy he can be. He saw where the add-ons were. He saw no armory. Second piece of big news. So he knows it's not Hellbats. He knows it's not a 3CC2. Well, it's not a 3CC 2-1-1 necessarily, but GUMIHO's kind of playing this like that is a Hellbat play, right? With the Marines and the medevac. So it's a little bit of heightened aggression. There's actually the landed Viking and the Marines in that earlier medevac. But Hellions, they dive in, they only get 2 workers. And the other thing we got to point out, Solar, he wasn't totally sure what was happening, so he went single Evo, not double, as this dead Marine. Dropped off at the main base, say, hey, you can be sacrificed. But this is buying time now for GUMIHO into the natural. He will go. Ling's rotating now, but the queens are a little bit slow, so 3 workers will fall. Make it 6, and he's going to get more. He will. 8 workers fall, but he's going to be trapped in the corner now, so 9 total drones make it. Oh, there's a drop in the main base. Yeah, that's getting a little bit more. 10 total workers have died. GUMIHO getting a lot here from really these early game units. that maybe opens it up a little. Well, he's going to lose the drop, so not quite as nice as it once was. Still, 10 workers go down. You're very happy with that one if you are GUMIHO, and there's an open third base. Ling's a little bit slow to react, but they're going to be there in time. GUMIHO still says, yeah, I'll kill Lings. That sounds nice. The Zerg barbecue happening in earnest. Or in Frank, but mostly earnest. And now the Banshees are here. Oh, I like this though. He's not going for second Raven. He's not going for second Banshee. He's going for a Raven. And that means that his map control that he's already engendered, that he's already created by getting damage done, by driving those Hellions in, by forcing Queens back, by forcing them to not be spreading creep, as this Hellion will fall by good shots on the Lings, maybe even more. No, the Queens are going to rotate over, so Hellions can't dive too deep. By doing that, he has established so much map control for himself. This Raven, coupled with the Hellions, as long as the Hellions stay alive, it's going to be able to knock down pretty easily this first round of creep spread. And that is, of course, your entire goal, especially if you want to play turtle style. And I'm not saying GUMIHO does, but he has a fourth base pretty quickly, so we can safely assume at least he doesn't have too much interest in the mid game. If you can keep the Zerg creep back, then you keep their expansions back. It feels really scary to take extra bases when you don't have a good vision of what the Terran is doing. And then when you're there, the Zerg will struggle to get themselves into a just infinite Lingbane Hydra composition. That then, of course, is one way to break the Terran. So GUMIHO putting himself in a fantastic tempo position in this game. The Queens will continue to push forward, and when looking at 4 Queens against Hellion Raven, I mean, they don't really kill all that. The Hellion Raven does not kill all that much. So for now, decent position for Solar's creep spread, at least in a decent position, as he's able to push it further and further and further. Actually, his creep spread over like the halfway point at this point. So from a creep perspective, very nice. Losing those 10 workers makes him uncomfortable. But he is now on 79. He's got 4 bases. We should see a fifth hatchery soon. There we go. But GUMIHO getting a little bit more active on the map now. And really, this is just creep spreading opportunity. And what I think we're going to see him do, and this is something that we saw Bjorn use to tremendous effect yesterday, is he's taking advantage of this rocks, but we saw Bjorn get a little bit more aggressive. You put tanks behind the rocks. And it denies creep spread in a significant area. And it's like good luck getting on top of that. But Hellbat's a little bit far forward, and really no medevacs to keep that alive, but he's gonna waddle off creep. The Penguin in a good spot. We're also starting to see one of the problems of this map for Solo. Now he's been able to take north side, and that's gonna be okay. Oh, here's a big round coming in again with no hot pickup. This is just a dead army there from GUMIHO being punished for his temerity. And here's the thing. That punish was perfectly timed, because here comes the army of GUMIHO. Here come the medevacs. Here come the tanks. Here comes the next round of bio. So that was a thin timing from Solar, but he was able to make it work. And now his Carapace is going to be done. Really, it's going to be done before GUMIHO's 2-2. So Solar's going to have a bit of an upgrade lead. And Solar, he's got the rocks pretty much knocked down. Generally say, yeah, don't spend banelings on that. But there we go. The rocks are dead. Doesn't really matter. Solar's got a significant concave set up. And GUMIHO on the middle of the map, it's hard for him to push forward, even with this Raven denying a lot of creep, because now the map is a lot more wide open. So the bio pushes forward, tank on the right side. That's a really nice position for it to siege up in. Then GUMIHO slowly pushes forward, spending scans on the creep when you have a Raven feels bad, but the Raven cannot go too far forward because, of course, there are Queens there, and there are Hydras as well. So that's going to do a good job knocking that one down. Lings run forward. You got a creep tumors going down, at the very least. Banshee as well. But Solar's now maxed out. And Solar here with this maxed out, we're going to see him look to go for really a full 270 break, I think. But he's being rather patient about it. He says, you know what, I want my additional upgrades. It certainly his 2-2 is now done, or his +2 armor is now done. This is actually going to be really nice timing for Solar to attack in, but now with just a little bit of piecemeal, and Ling's Banes run forward. Solar thinks better of it. He just says, I'm going to reestablish my creep. But the bio of GUMIHO on the right side, and this base should die. Yeah, GUMIHO was not prepared, Solar's not prepared to defend that one, so 6 o'clock base is dead. But now, here we go. That's actually a big armor shredder on these Lings. And there's a second one as well. So it's really hard to take the fight right now. The tanks, they're one-shotting everything. And the bio, they run forward. Raven actually finding a lot of utility. And by the way, it's still alive. It's got 1 HP, but it's still alive. And it's got at least armor for, at least energy for an auto turret or something like that. Lingbane comes rolling on forward. The tanks are not quite sieged. And Solar, he's got a fantastic fight here now, but he loses a lot of his Banes. So he's going to have to go again, figure this army out, rebuild it. That being said, there are only 2 tanks in this army right now. He lost... I only lost 2 tanks. It felt like he lost more than that, but half the pushing position, half the pushing potential of GUMIHO at this point is going down. That being said, GUMIHO's 3-3 is on the way. He's on 5 bases. What we are missing, though, is a Ghost Academy, which at this stage, as we have seen, really no desire from Solar just yet to advance to a next level of tech. I mean, he's got Hive, Lurker Den's on the way, but 13 minutes in, it is just Hydraling Bane. I like that. Once the Lurkers get out, that's when you start going Ghost. So on the flip side, if you have Ghost out first, moving into Lurkers is a bit of a trap. And even adding the Vipers, getting EPs on them, will be rather nice. So I would like to see the Ghost Academy start to go down soon enough here for GUMIHO. But for now, his army is still big, it's still powerful, his 3-3 is well timed. But there we go, abduct there, tank number 1 goes down. Vipers run forward even more. Are they going to get more tanks? Yes, they will. Armor Shredder on this army once again, but GUMIHO is just on pick up and run. He can't do anything, even with the Armor Shredder. And now here comes the Swarm, truly finding his way into the natural, the 3rd base here of GUMIHO. Baneling is crushed right through that wall. Blinding Cloud on top of the tanks on the bio here as well. GUMIHO kiting backwards desperately, but the 3rd base has been absolutely broken. Hydrazex, they may be able to kill this command center down. SCV's not on repair command just yet, but Solar, he seems to have run out of momentum just a little bit. Now, certainly, we see the red lines on the map, and his army is in a great spot, but he doesn't have his army right there. So GUMIHO gonna count his lucky stars in the last 6 SCVs, did not lose a base. And, well, of course, he lost a decent amount of army. But as we're only at 2,000 resources in the good for GUMIHO in this game, Solar is in a wonderful spot. That was a fantastic fight he was able to take, even down 3 armor, even down 3 upgrades effectively with that, with the Armor Shredder missile. Being down armor upgrades doesn't matter if your opponent's not fighting you. But Ling's Base on the north side here. They're going to find the 5th base of GUMIHO because GUMIHO's army is in the middle of the map. That's dead. And through the middle of the map, this army goes, but it's not big enough to do anything just yet. Solar probably loses his 6 o'clock, but really not much more than that one. And Lings are going to be able to deal with these Marauders fairly well. But Marauders, hey, they do bonus damage to armored units. They're going to take the base down. That's nice, but base on the bottom side does get canceled as well. Solar going to be able to deal with the army. And now the Lurkers are on the field. Burrow speed here as well, so he's going to be able to be aggressive with them, not just defensive. This base on the right side, it's a planetary, but I don't see this lasting all that long. Marauders are now dead. I mean, 3-3's good, but Lurkers are here. Mainly, they're not even going to waste their time killing the planetary. It's a 4-base Terran once again. And yes, we do have these Marauders from the drop earlier on the north side. But, well, adrenal glands are done. That's effectively +3 to the Lings anyway, so consider these 6-2 Lings. They do shred Marauders anyway. Blinding Cloud on top of these tanks. Great set of Blinding Clouds actually, but more tanks on the back line. There, even still, the Vipers finding their value. Tanks continue to fall. Again, the orbital gets very low here. Now the Lurkers run forward and siege up, but actually this concave from GUMIHO, it's rather nice. The army, the attack there from Solar, a bit disjointed. He loses a bunch of Lurkers, really loses everything on the ground, and I think the Vipers as well. No, okay, the Vipers are still alive. Solar lost a lot there, and his bank is not really supporting a remax. So GUMIHO now has timing. As good as this last couple minutes have been there for Solar, we look at the resources lost now, resources lost now, he's now down 4,000. He's traded worse. And Lurkers, sure, eventually they're going to pop out. Eventually, Solar will be able to remax, but if we look at income, because of the mules, mineral income is pretty similar. Like, of course, the gas that GUMIHO is eclipsed, but as he's not going ghost, he doesn't really care about the gas income all that much. Solar has been able to mostly remax, building more Lurkers, building more Banes. And the Vipers have energy once again. And even more importantly, Solar setting himself up. This is going to be for a run by, probably, but setting himself for a surround if that's not quite what he's looking for. GUMIHO's aware of this, though. I don't know whether... Yeah, okay, the Zelnaga gave him vision, but now here comes Solar, sharking around the right side, saying, hey, GUMIHO, you got to be a little careful. But the Lings, they're just going to join the fray, eating a couple shots, but that's fine. Lurkers, though, the scan finds them. One Lurker falls, second one as well. GUMIHO showing a lot of strength after he took a lot of damage, and this has bought him time. He does have that 5th base. It's an orbital, so it's not quite as safe, but it's still there. And he's been able to reestablish his economy just a little bit more. That being said, Solar, he has been able to remax once again. This drop on the north side, not nearly as effective as it was the first time, and Solar's creep spread, actually, it's not all that great. GUMIHO's done a great job of knocking down on the wings as well as through the middle. which makes it the map's not quite as maneuverable for Solar at this point. But GUMIHO, Solar sees an opportunity. The tanks are not yet seized. Parasitic Bomb on top of all of these medevacs. Lurkers get some massive shots off, but the tank sprint is actually really fantastic even still. Solar comes crushing on forward, and the Lurkers, they siege, they unsiege, they siege again, and everything is just going down here. It's the Lurker timing that is so damn scary for Terran players. And we have no ghosts. We have a Ghost Academy, but they're not even in production. This drop on the north side looks like we'll kill this base. But Solar should not be afraid because these Lurkers, they run forward, and the concaves are good. Scans get dropped, but I don't even know how many scans GUMIHO has at this point. Yeah, he's going to have to give this position up. It's a 4-base Terran once again. Ling's going to find this one, and yes, a base has died, but Lings and Hydra's going to knock the drop down anyway. So GUMIHO, he trades. Well, actually, it looks like he's going to be able to get out. Another base is dead, or at least denied for a time. And GUMIHO rotates bottom side. The Lurkers, they're on the other side of the map here. This is going to be another dead base for GUMIHO as he's doing a great job playing the map. So we're looking at as much as I've been saying this looks good for Solar, and it has. It's a 5-base Zerg versus a 4-base Terran, and yeah, we're 17 minutes in. That doesn't feel great. But Solar's going to run out of money eventually. That being said, Lings come rolling forward once again. We just don't have the ghost count. We don't have the true answer to these Vipers and to these Lurkers that have been finding really the majority of the damage for GUMIHO at this point. But another Lurker falls, and Lurkers are expensive, folks. They cost a lot of gas. Granted, Solar's actually short on minerals more than gas, which is kind of crazy, but these Lurkers are unburrowed. They're going to get found out here. That was 4 Lurkers, 5 Lurkers going down. Again, GUMIHO establishing his concave, looking to move forward once again. Not a lot of Banelings to really dissuade the dive. If you look at income, neither of them really all that far above 2,000 minerals. Here comes, there's a tasty surround coming in from Solar. Really only one tank, and it's gonna get Blinding Cloud. There's another tank that is not sieged, but the Blinding Cloud really causing consternation for GUMIHO at this point. Now GUMIHO's kind of zoned out from his own position, but he's got a decent surround coming in, but Banelings, they're gonna knock that all down. Now Solar with a 30 army supply lead. GUMIHO made a game of it after those fights from Solar, but at the end, Solar, he grits it out, and he's up 1. So where do we go game 2? I can't imagine Solar's going to do too much different. He looked good. He looked damn good in that matchup. It was a little scary when GUMIHO had some pushes, and it's like, okay, Solar's losing some bases, but it was very much a... Solar was flowing like water in that game, as we often see Zergs do, where they say, okay, you're pushing bottom, that's fine, I'll give the base up. Let me just expand on the right side. Like, I'll just flow wherever you're not as I buy time for my upgrades. As I buy time for my army to get a little bit better, whatever timing you're looking for. Solar did a great job of that game, and then when he had the timing that he was looking for, he swarmed him. He broke GUMIHO in an instant, and suddenly it's like, okay, well, my third base is under threat. It's burning down. What am I going to do? And yes, GUMIHO holds, but at that point, the tempo was so far in the Zerg favor that it was really hard for GUMIHO to come back. But, you know, in giving GUMIHO all the credit in the world, he did a great job of coming back. He was taking some fights. It was starting to, it's like, okay, maybe, you know, he's knocked down a lot of the Zerg economy, and then Solar was able to take the momentum to its conclusion. GUMIHO not quite able to stabilize enough, and he did win that game, but GUMIHO played well. And of course, game 2, Inside and Out is a much shorter map. It is a much more Terran favored map. Inside and Out is pretty Zerg, is a pretty heavily Zerg favored map. But I don't know the stats, but at least just based on the way the map is set up, that's how you would think it would be. Although I was wrong earlier today. You know, you talk about waterfalls as this Terran map in TVZ, and then you realize that in professional games across TSL 9 and DreamHack and GSL, and there's one other tournament that was listed there. It's a 44% win rate for Terrans, which is pretty funny. But again, 3CC play from GUMIHO. I'm somewhat surprised to see this, mainly because it feels like we see a lot of 2-base timings on Inside and Out. But of course, Inside and Out is also one of those maps that only has really 5 bases, maybe 6, because you do, of course, have the left base and the right base and the left base that are much more hard to contest. But really only 5 good bases. Really only 5 nice, comfortable bases that you can take. And those, paradoxically, are actually the best for a Terran that wants to go late. because the Zerg, for the most part, they're going to want to flood you with stuff. Whether it is a high eco, low efficiency Hydrolink Bane composition, whether it's going to be a lot of Broodlords to deal with the eventual Thor Ghost type setup, regardless of what it is. You know, the Zerg wants a lot of money. I mean, they can only get 5 bases, maybe a 6. It means that lack of cost effectiveness, or just the sheer cost of getting to a Broodlord army when you've traded it all in the game, it becomes rather difficult. So Solar will scout. Okay, this is 3cc play. I know what's happening. We're happy. And of course, this is Hellion Banshee. He did see, I believe, the... Oh, he didn't. He didn't see the... Yeah, there we go. Starport's on the bottom side, so he didn't see that there was a... He didn't see the Starport, didn't see the tech lab. He only saw the first 2 buildings. But I mean, Hellion Banshee off a 300cc is probably the most common thing. But all right, so into the natural, or excuse me, the third base. This Banshee will go. It's going to get 3 workers and Spores on the way, but it's a little bit slow. So 5 workers and Banshee being a little bit lacking some sense of adventure there. He could just have dove on top of everything, but kind of worried about the Spore position, I guess. Even still, 7 workers for a single Banshee. You take that one and twice on Sundays. But Banshee takes some damage now as it flies on out, but the second Banshee will join the fray now. This means workers will get 1 tap, so life even more difficult for Solar. I mean, not too badly. But Hellions, Banshees, they do join the fray, and they're going to do a good job knocking some of the creep down, but with the Queens here, it's not really going to get all that much done. That being said, Banshees with no detection against them because the layer is only halfway done. No mobile detection here on the map for Solar. They can't sit under that fire too long. Transfuses are only good up until a point, but they did a great job of denying the time of the scan is really the big thing there. So they sit where the Banshees are. They say, yeah, we'll eat a little damage, but we're going to look to time out your scan, which of course means the creep's going to be able to hopefully stay alive a little longer, but the Banshee scan lasts just long enough that the Banshee kills that creep tumor, and Solar now is struggling a little bit to get the fourth base. It's not the end of the world, but the Banshee's just by the Banshee Hellion positioning was slowing him down a little bit. So it's going to be a 6:30 fourth instead of a 6-minute fourth. Not the end of the world, but minor annoyances here from Solar. But he's also shown himself up to 73 workers, which that's all. He's going to have to transfer a lot of the workers over from the 3rd base to the 4th, but also his economy's in a great spot. His army supply not really falling down all that far. He's got his 1-1 pretty evenly timed with the Terran. He's got a Baneling speed on the way a little slow. Honestly, when we're looking at 1-1 versus Baneling speed, it very much is on the Baneling speed to hold off these initial Terran pushes. But what GUMIHO has showed us, and in general what Terran players have showed us, is the fact that they're not getting as aggressive right now. And unless it's a 2-base timing, but in general, these 1-1 pushes, they're not nearly as committal because they're all 3cc play, which is you have less production early, and so Lings are going to flood this. Good target fire there from GUMIHO. He picks up and loses about half a meta back, but something as the Banshee will fall on the left. Actually, both Banshees? Single Banshee falls on the left side. So though his Baneling speed will be done for the next engagement, whatever it will be, but the tank positioning from GUMIHO has been really nice this series, taking great advantage of little nooks and crannies, little chokes that he can use. So it's really hard. As he cleans up the creep in the middle of the map, it's really hard for the Zerg to engage, especially as these rocks are not down. Now, I don't think he has vision on the high ground. No, he doesn't. So Lings could start to wear away at this. The Queen's now fighting forward. Lings, Banes roll forward here, and there's the surround coming in from Solar on the left side, but the Hellbats... Oh, that's some fantastic positioning there. The Hellbats, 4 of them surrounding this tank. You need Banelings to bust onto that tank now. The tank is not getting dealt with. So, GUMIHO establishing Fortress GUMIHO in the middle of the map here. Doing a great job of building this wedge, this position that, well, the Zerg cannot establish creep in. And Solar, he wants to get these rocks down, but he doesn't really have an opportunity, so Fire runs forward and it's dead. A couple of Banelings will knock that down. But GUMIHO continues to rally forward, finding these really scary tank positions. I mean, how do you run through the choke right now? Half of it's defended by a tank. Okay, luckily he doesn't take the second tank shot. Chooses to target a creep tumor as well. At least for now, it's only one tank that is really that really matters for this. If we look at the tank range here, it covers this tank a little bit. Oh, and Hydras, they're going to try to knock the tank down from above, but Medevac's there. So there's that high ground vision that GUMIHO does prize. And by the way, GUMIHO's fourth base is on positions. He is expanding into the mid game. I think we're going to see Solar try to make a break on 2-2, as that is coming up rather soon. But he finds himself a little bit supply blocked. Overlords have gone down, and he's got 4 more on the way, but that's not all that great. Now there's drop into the main base, but Sora's actually doing a great job. These Medevacs getting very low indeed. Bio targeted down, but again, it just buys time. As more creep spread gets denied, Solar's creep is not in a good spot this game. He has about 1 screen away from most of his bases, but you do want more than that, especially on a short map like this, where it's fairly easy to get creep to the middle of the map, because middle of the map is not that far from your bases. On the north side, though, this run by, but Lings and Banes are there, and with 2-2 done, it's going to target the base down. Yeah, okay, I didn't realize how low that was. Solar loses his 5th. But Solar say, okay, well, a lot of your army is in the middle of the map here. That means I can bust through these tanks, but these tanks are well spread. So the Banelings, the Lings, they come rolling forward, and again, those Hellbats are a problem. Banes can't get off creep that far. The tanks are just going to knock him down. So 3 tanks die. GUMIHO loses part of his position in the middle of the map, but not really all of it. That tank is still there, and the Hellbats are still scary. And these rocks are still here. And that's really what Solar wants to knock down. If he can get the rocks, he's going to be much happier in this game. Not getting the rocks down, though. And GUMIHO will always own this position in the center of the map. And remember, Solar is only on 4 bases. He's got his 5th base on the way now, but where do you go from here? Do you take this base? That is so close. And actually, okay, GUMIHO's going to kill the rocks. That's actually somewhat nice for Solar. And on to creepy will go, which funnily enough is the best, the most creep spread on the map for that Solar has. But also because these rocks have not been taken down from Solar, because realistically, that was not where their Terran push was coming from. It's a little bit harder for him to engage, but now he comes spilling forward through the choke. Banelings running forward, doing what they can. Tanks getting some fantastic shots. The splits here from GUMIHO are straight up incredible, and the Hydras are all that remains. Solar does not have much of an army here. He had to keep a lot of the Ling Bane on the west side, trying to keep that 5th base alive, but more Banelings have joined the fray, but not a lot of them, and the tanks, they get the siege up once again. Here come Lings buffering forward, allowing the Hydras to get on top of things. The tank is dead. Tank's not really sieged up here. There's that scary one from earlier, but Solar, he makes the hold happen. GUMIHO took a first good fight, but now his supply is plummeting. And Solar stays alive. He keeps both bases alive. Well done by the Sun. That was not an easy situation in this game, and still he does not have map control. His creep spread has been knocked hella far back. He was only on 6 queens. He's lost a bunch of them over the course of this game. It's going to take him a while to reestablish creep. But at least he has Vipers. At least he has some ability to knock tanks back. And again, we're not really... Okay, never mind. I was going to say, we're not really seeing GUMIHO like Ghost all that much, but Ghost Academy is on the way now. So it seems like he's learned his lesson from game 1. I love this. The creep spread right here is about, what, 1/3 of the way on the map. The sensor tower, it has vision of it. I mean, granted, sensor towers don't really give vision of creep tumors, but you get the point. Sensor tower, the sensor tower range is kind of ludicrous. Solar maxed out now. Once again, 3-3 on the way, but not just yet. He's got +1 range as well, so these Hydras actually can fight. Lurker Den's not done, though. GUMIHO, he was that position was so scary that he didn't have the money to build Lurkers, or even build the Lurker Den. Everything was going into Hydras and Lings and Banes. So it does mean that this prospective timing of a bunch of Lurkers that Solar was able to kill GUMIHO with, not so in that last game. And again, GUMIHO has the Ghost Academy. The drop here, please just abduct this. There we go. So that's going to be a decent amount of army supply going down there. And now GUMIHO, Solar's going to have to be at least a little tempted to bust through this wall. And he's going to get at least some of the supply depots. Banelings coming forward, single fire. And the tanks are here, but you got Vipers here, Solar. Maybe you can do something. No, he's just going to knock the wall down, run back up, loses a couple Banes and maybe a Hydra, but not the end of the world. There's no way Solar. Solar's got a run-by set up here. He's like, what if I go into the 4th base? Solar, you're not breaking this. There are 3 tanks. The chokes are there. It's not going to work. You need to commit more than that. So how do you break the Terran right now? Because Solar definitely does have to. He's going to run in. The Blinding Cloud on top of that one tank. Ghost now moving forward. We have the EMPs, not yet. This tank positioning from GUMIHO is so damn good. Look at this. There are 5 tanks. How do you get on? You don't get on top of the concave. Beats the convex and other pithy casterisms, but more importantly, Solar kind of breaks himself against GUMIHO. I mean, the supply says one thing, but it's army for army. And really, the only supply only says that because Solar had a bunch of larvae in the bank. He's able to remax pretty much immediately. That was not cost effective for the Zerg whatsoever. He is adding lurkers now, though. 7 of them on the way. Lurker, burrow speed, adaptive talons, just about done. And I do like this. He's adding Nidus, and more importantly, he's trying to take a base from GUMIHO. But I feel like it's too late. Granted, GUMIHO had a lot of pressure in the middle of the map, and it probably is only just now that he could have done for that. But I don't know that Solar's going to be able to keep the base on the left. I feel like more importantly, you would try to take this one on the bottom right because it's a little further away from where the strength of the Terran is. But folks, hold on to your butts. This game, I think, is going to go a good bit later. But Solar, once again, looking to go caveman. Good EMPs, though, on the Viper. And that means these tanks are not going to... Well, they're going to get value for quite a while. But even still, Lings and Banes get on top of them. That one tank on the right side survives far, far too long. But this tank count has been mostly reset. Here we go. Baneley's in the mineral line, but not a lot of SCVs there anymore. GUMIHO, even still, though, he says, I don't have enough, Solar. You broke me. And Solar 2 zeros.